Namaste, sir. Welcome. We would like to understand the effect of childhood trauma on one's day to day mental health. Please, can you share your take on it? And thank you so much for giving us time.
Okay, so this is an important question because very often we hear about this, no? Now mental health day is coming.
Hmm.
So I think you are doing it for that mental health day. Hmm? So one thing is that childhood trauma, see, we take so many histories. And this is something which we very often hear that I had this
Hmm.
trauma. It's very important to know what this trauma means. Hmm?
Hmm.
So there are many ways in which you can look at trauma. Trauma by itself doesn't mean anything. Trauma is, sometimes that trauma also depends on the individual susceptibility. It is not just the trauma. Sometimes the trauma is too big. Let's say there's a war going on. If the war goes on, or there's a bomb blast or some terrorist attack, then everybody goes through trauma. Because the amount of trauma is so much that everybody is experiencing that trauma. It's an unusual experience. It's almost experiencing it's a near death experience. And you can call it as a post-traumatic stress disorder. And that somehow changes your entire psychic balance. And you get flashes about it. And then you relive that trauma. So that's another type of trauma which is outstanding. So we have that many centers which work with these type of traumas. Then we have many traumas. Now traumas, it also depends on your individual susceptibility. What I mean by individual susceptibility is how strong you are. Everybody is not very mentally strong. And if I use a very technical term, it is called as ego strength. Ego means not that how proud you are. Ego strength is how much you are mentally strong. So if you're very mentally strong, you can take small traumas. Many traumas come up in life. Your teacher may scold you. Your father might beat you up one day. But you're not going to hold it. You take it laughingly. Sometimes some children are such that even when the father beats, he is laughing. To a point of shamelessness where the sensitivity is so low that it doesn't even have an effect. So we have to understand when they say trauma, it is a window by which we know what is that individual's susceptibility, his sensitivity. This is very important. Some children, even if you just look at them, they may start crying. Some, even if you beat, doesn't happen. So there is nothing like a trauma which affects you. Trauma is also a window through which you understand the susceptibility of a child. We hear about sexual abuse, a little bit here and there. I'm not promoting it, but many go through, but people just discount it. Oh, come on, stupid. These people are, you swear one or two times toward that person who does that and you move on. And sometimes people do it. And now if there is no trauma, they even create an imaginary trauma. They say, I did past life regression and I realized that I was abused. I have no memory of it, but I was abused. So you create a situation of trauma. So very often this trauma is to give your explanation to what you are explaining. We all as human beings, we want a why. Why am I suffering? Because my father did this. My parents were strict. I was put in a boarding school. I was bullied. I was sexually abused by my teacher. So these things sometimes are also because we want an answer for what we are going through. So this answer does not really help. When somebody talks about trauma, we have to find out what is his sensitivity and work and help him in that direction. So unless the trauma is very big, it also reflects what that person is sensitive and what he has affected. So it can also be sometimes a victim card. Many of us play the victim. I have gone through a lot of injustice. I was done. As if, you are at the receiving end. So all this also tells you about the patient. So trauma can best be an entry point, and then we have to be, of course, sensitive because the person who's going through is definitely experiencing. But to say that, it is coming from outside. Trauma, when you say childhood trauma, it means something coming from outside. हम बोलते हैं ना that you cannot clap with one single hand. You need both. So it is the one who did it and how you experience it. Because life is all about how you perceive things. Okay? Somebody, if it is not in their program to see it as I am being tortured, I am being abused, may not even register it. Every child or every human being goes through so many experiences, but what you pick up is what you are sensitive to.
Correct.
Some people come and say, I was only loved. And then we'll say, but you were never beaten. He'll say, yeah, one time, but that is not important. No, that everybody goes through. So you discount that and you talk about how much you were loved. So, we are like sponge. Children are like sponge. They absorb, but they don't absorb everything. They absorb whatever is sitting into their inner perception of life. And how we are different is because we all have our own individual perception based on some program or some our inner configuration by which we see differently the world. We all have different spectacles we see through life. Now, this is also important, this child abuse, when you talk, no? So we have two aspects, no? It has to, when we very often talk about abuse, then we also start questioning about parenting.
Yeah.
So you have a mother who's loving the child unconditionally, and father who's a conditional lover who can show strictness. Like, for example, if the boys or a child is, just troubling the mother too much, disturbing her, playing pranks, not listening to her, finally she says, I am going to complain about you to the father. So there are two aspects of discipline. One is love and one is strictness. Now, this is also very important. Sometimes some people say, I become bad because I was only loved and they did not correct me when I was doing something wrong. I was overprotected. They didn't allow me to see the harsh side. And somebody will say that my parents were so strict that my individuality got smashed. So we have to be what we call as alert, aware parents. So you have to be very conscientious, awareness, mindful parenting. I would rather say mindful parenting. Because every child needs different bringing up. Some child you can bring best out of love. Some child will only understand if you are strict. Today I will not allow you to play your mobile game or I'll confiscate it, then only you will learn. So this is a very delicate balance. How much of strictness and how much of love. And each one has their own chemistry. Each child needs certain things. So one parent only might be very strict with one child, they may be very lenient with another child. So this is something which parents have to be very mindful. That what we are doing and every behavior of us. So it's a trial error. Sometimes you are strict and the child withdraws totally. Then you realize this doesn't.
Correct.
Sometimes when you start loving them, then you see that they become more disobedient. So then you have to really balance. So this is what I'm saying. But child abuse, if it is in your program to play a victim, you might pick up somewhere or the other. If not your parents, then your teachers. If not your teachers, your neighbors. If not your neighbors, your classmates. Somewhere you will feel bullied, you or feel victim, as if you have been on the receiving end. But so just taking child abuse is not important. This is a very common story, but we have to go through it. Nevertheless, not to neglect. Especially when the child tells. A child will come and say, no, I was abused by one of the securities in the class, college, school. And you'll say, no, don't bother. It could have been a very traumatic experience. So parents have to be very sensitive whenever a child calls about it. Most of the time, child know, even when they are sexually abused, they don't tell because they are afraid parents will be strict and blame them as if they are responsible. So how you deal with your children, how comfortable your children are to talk to you. This also can be resolved then and there if the child feels free to talk and communicate. Very often they say, we tried to talk, but my parents did not take notice of it.
Yeah.
Then it becomes a sort of a complex within you, which governs your next life. How you see life. When you have a trauma, there is a difference. There are 4 ways you see life. A healthiest way is where I feel I am okay and the world is okay. I feel I am good and everybody is good. That is very healthy relationship. You like people, you don't see them with some suspicion. At the same time, you are not having any inferiority about yours. Then there's another group where feels I am not okay, others are fine. Now this can also happen because of some trauma. Or an imaginary trauma or a real trauma, whatever, but trauma. Let's not go whether it is imaginary or what. So that child might always feel, I am not okay, others are okay.
Okay. Yeah.
More prominently, what happens is where they feel I am okay, but the others are not. I cannot trust. Because as a child, you are developing how much you can trust this universe. And for healing, for wholesomeness, for feeling healthy, you have to have a very good feeling about life and universe and people. You have to see people as nice people. But if you are traumatized, if you are trauma, if a dog bites you, you're not going to see dog as a good creature.
True.
Correct? So human beings, you will start seeing with paranoia. So it is just that you see people bad. It is affecting you because you are not healthy. It's like we say, if I'm angry, let's say I'm angry at you, you will feel bad, but I am going to feel even worse because the anger is working on me. So when I am not, it affects my relationship, it affects everywhere, my trust issues. I feel unloved. So my whole system is disarray. It doesn't function as it should be. And the worst is where I feel I am not good and the world is not good. This is a sure sight where people even become suicidal. They feel that what's the use of living? Because they have a very negative attitude towards themselves and towards life, and they say it's not worth living. So what we have to bring up, child, is the feeling of trust. Trust in themselves that they are good and they can bring the best out of them, and trust in the universe that it is very nice. People are basically
nice.
Okay?
Yes.
So this is what I can say if you have any particular questions. So abuse is an entry point for many things to understand. It can be of understanding that human being.
True.
It should never be taken discounted. It should be taken into
very
attention.
So you shared very important points about how people perceive and how much they are sensitive about, and then slowly they start governing their life from that point of view. Many times we see that
sometimes you don't govern because of that. Because of your perception, you create a story which will govern you.
Exactly. So when
if I feel like a victim, I'll pick up everything in this world which has done wrong to me and I make it a story out of it. So it is like chicken and egg. We don't know what is what. But we should we should never go into what is it. Is it the people who are bad or it was you who was sensitive? You have to take it as a fact and work from there on. As a therapist, as a psychiatrist, as a homeopath, as a mental health worker.
So when looking from the perspective of a healer or a mental health counselor and helping us supporting these people, when the reflection goes to them, and when we as a healer, we also bring this part to them, seeing them that this is your sensitivity and how you are perceiving. Does many times it comes like a back to them, or how they perceive it? Because sometimes
there is one thing. No. One thing is that you should have timely interpretation. Timely interpretation means you don't tell anybody, it is your problem, you are doing this. It is taken as criticism.
Yeah.
Somebody is to heal and you are going to tell him, it is all in your mind, the way you are seeing. This is not going to go well. This is for you to understand. It is not what is to be told to the child or to the adult who has undergone such. This is to be told when he himself. Do you think I was also partly responsible? That is the time you have to say, yes, perhaps. Now that you think like that. So you have to facilitate his inner journey. You cannot tell him. People don't like advice. If you give anybody advice, including me, I don't like it. And I believe no human being likes it. And you feel like an enemy. You don't, even if they tell you the truth, you will not like it. If somebody tells me you are very critical, I might be critical, but I will not like it when it comes to. Right? Yeah. So what we have to do is gradual unfolding of the personality. The person, like how a flower blooms, Can you untimely just take a bud and open up and say, I'll make a flower out of it? You'll only traumatize it more. Yeah. So instead of that person coming to heal, heal means to make him whole. You'll traumatize further and then he will say, even the doctors are not good.
Yeah.
Then he will not go because he'll feel there is no door which I can knock for my improvement. So this is not the message we have to go. First is unconditional. You have to make him feel that all this is human. We all go through it and it's completely okay to feel whatever. You have to let him talk. He's also judging you how you are judging him. There are a lot of inner non-verbal communications going on. If you are very friendly, you are very receptive, you are very non-judgmental, you are unprejudiced. Because sometimes child also has some guilt about it. Let's say a sexual abuse. There is a vulnerable age around 3 years, okay, where around post-toddler, you can say, in preschool, when you come to know about sexuality. A child comes to know that a boy is different from a girl. Boy is different. Before that, they don't know that. So then they are curious. That's the age of curiosity. You want to know. So they want to know. They want to see how when a father is undressing or dressing or whatever, they want to see how it is. Or when the mother is doing, they want to see. So there's that curiosity element. Now, some people who are grown-ups take advantage of this child's curiosity. That's why you'll see sexual abuse occurs very much in between 3 and 4 years of age.
Correct.
So now the child also feel, have I initiated? There might be that subtle unconscious thing where you also give some signal sometime, not always. I'm not making any statement towards any particular person. In general, very often. And then that person takes advantage. Doesn't mean that the child wants it. Because sex is not just sex. There are many things. You look like that person as a father figure. He gives you a sense of affection. So we don't know what chemistry is working between them. So very often the child also feels, I am partly responsible. So there can be guilt. This is why I said, no, sometimes the feeling is, I am not okay, everybody else.
Very true.
Why me? Why do I go through this? So what you need to do is help them through your healing, whatever process you are doing. Maybe as you are a homeopath, best is when you start giving them homeopathy, something works in their vital force, their energetic blocks start releasing. And what is the main idea of healing is to bring you to awareness. You start coming to know about things, that release of that pent-up emotions. Then you start seeing things in the right perception. You have to make them guilt-free and also make them a very happy, healthy individual. So at the right time, patients come to me, but unless they ask, I never advise. Because untimely advice is not asked. It's then you are playing a parent role. I told you, you are not disciplined, you are not putting things in order. And the child does discount. My parents are complaining.
Correct.
So when they come, you have to have a lot of patience. And trust that all human beings want to heal. Nobody wants to remain sick. Trust that inner higher intelligence. We are all governed by a higher intelligence within, which is beyond our emotions and logic. We don't know. You eat a potato, how does it become hemoglobin? Unless you believe everything is only biochemistry. You are a live organism. There is something higher intelligence. People are intuitive. They come to know before what is going to happen. So you have to trust that healing force wants to heal you. The healer is within you. You are just a facilitator. You are just facilitating by bringing right ambience, right atmosphere so that you are healing the process of healing. It's like if there's a wound, what you do? Remove the debris. You remove everything so that natural healing processes can work. If there is still some dirt or some splinter inside, then it's not going to heal. So you facilitate, and the healing finally is done. How does the body heal your wound? That's why we say, no, everything does not be treated. Most of the things which are self-limited and which are healing, we don't even interfere. You have to trust, because by interfering, you are interfering with the natural process. It is not good. It's like you are deciding how. You don't take the driver's seat. Let your own inner intelligence take the driver's seat. But when you are failing, when you are collapsing, where your body is losing all its defenses, when you cannot function, that is the time where you come in. And there also you are a facilitator. You are not anything more than that. You are not curing anybody. The body is curing itself.
Very true.
You have to bring up the right thing. And if you are doing the right thing, the patient is eventually going to ask right questions and you will give right answers.
So nice, sir. I think this is one of the crux of being a healer, where you have to trust the process. There has to be a faith, and also like being unconditional towards the person who is seeking from you, and that entire process being very conducive, where the patient can open up and have an environment where it can see things working from him. So it's very important what you shared. Last but not the least, a question: what else, from the patient perspective who comes through this, can do? Maybe three, four important points where they can be helped going through this experience of a trauma.
First is,
Hmm.
every difficulty can be seen as difficult. Why this pain? Why
Okay.
getting? Universe is not so malicious or cruel. If you are having some pain, it is trying to give you a signal about you.
Hmm.
So, as very often people say, no, difficulties can be seen as difficulties or opportunities.
Hmm.
So people take that. हम लोग बोलते हैं ना, in difficulties you remember God.
Hmm. Yeah.
Remember God in difficulties,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Why? Because in a way, those difficulties come to stop you and tell you, listen, look within. Something needs to be done.
Yeah.
There are so many healers now who says that every illness also is talking to you. Why
Hmm.
are you getting asthma? Why you are getting acidity? Why are you getting migraine headaches? It is telling you something.
Hmm.
Now we are not that evolved, all of us, to be able to comprehend what exactly it is telling. So if you can help patient understand that it is not just an illness. Very often when you give them a label or tell them it is an illness, no, we are hampering their spiritual growth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Say if somebody has depression, I'll say it's a chemical imbalance. Now, if it's a chemical imbalance, so what? You will tell me I got chemical imbalance. Then what am I supposed to do? You give me a medicine to make it balance. So you make life so superficial.
Hmm.
As I told you, you got trauma. Okay, you take some anxiety pills. As if, it is some. So very often we are too much into chemical imbalances. This is what we are telling our patients.
Hmm.
What is important is what we learn from it.
Hmm.
Why I am getting migraine and why my brother is not getting, why my wife is not getting. So what does it speak about me? It is because I'm very angry, but I'm not being able to express my anger. I'm bottling it in. So
Hmm.
how I can find a constructive way of dealing with it?
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So everything is telling you something about you.
Hmm.
So when the patient is in difficulty, they come to you. Your job is to take him in that right path. Even WHO says it is not just physical and mental health. It is also spiritual well-being, a
Hmm.
sense of well-being.
Yes.
We have to treat patients holistically. It's so everything is an entry point, and that difficulty can be made an opportunity. Now, very often it also depends on the level of involvement of the patient. Sometimes you have a headache, you'll say, "I goli de do na, I'll take the tablet and I'll go to sleep." And they're happy with that. There
Hmm.
is no higher thought. I think as a human being, we are all evolving to become higher self.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
whole Eastern philosophy is that we are born again and again to become better and better. Today, if there is some saint or somebody who's giving a lecture, you see thousands and thousands of people go there. Why? We idealize him. That is what we want to be. We
Hmm.
want to be like him. We want to emulate him. How can he be like this? This is what we aspire for. So we all have that need to be better and become better as humans, as humans. So you can take that as an opportunity, or you just go on taking and popping those pills and you're symptom free. This is what is happening today. We are
Yes.
becoming symptom free. And sometimes, very often, these psychiatric medications can make you symptom free. Your pain goes. But very often, patients do complain that they are numb. They don't feel life. They don't feel, it's like you're comfortably numb. But you're just going on somewhere like a machine, like a robot. I don't say it has no value. I'm not saying don't go to a psychiatrist. It has its place. But don't stop at feeling better. Use that as an opportunity to become a better human being so that there is no place for, like for example, If you go to a beach, you will see a lot of coconut trees. In India, so many hill stations. When you go there, you will not see coconut tree. So for everything, for a particular tree, you need particular soil, right?
Hmm.
So for every illness, there has to be a soil within you which creates that. Why am I allergic? Why I got IBS? So we have to work on that soil. Otherwise, you remove one coconut tree, another one will come.
Yes.
That is why homeopathy we treat tendencies,
Yes.
not just acute.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Okay. So what we have to do is work on that soil that it is no more conducive of creating that, because that soil has something which is that can create. I'm very angry. I'm very angry. I'm so angry. I'm so angry. I'm predisposed to blood pressure, high blood pressure. Blood pressure everybody has. Hypertension. Now I'm going to take the pill and remain angry. Is this the solution we are looking for, my dear? Exactly. So this is what we have seen. Illnesses are entry points. They are not the end. So we don't have to go only for symptomatic. We have to use this for evolution of that person to a higher state level of being. At the end, you should see, I am a better human being than before.
Very true.
That should.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Yes. So insightful. We started a journey from trauma, and there's so much good insights you shared with us about how a healer goes through, what a patient goes through, and basically understanding not just removing the symptoms, but working on the soil, which is so important, and how we have come here for a certain purpose. And we also shared something out about how we have to grow at every level, apart from illness, just making our life much more better and bringing our conscious to another level. So
We should not be pain free, but we have to give meaning to our life.
wonderful.
The
Yes.
day we go out of this world, which we all have to go,
Yes.
we should feel that we have lived well. That is a very important day.
Yes. Yes.
I remember one thing, no, our Hahnemann has written,
Yes.
I did not live this life in vain.
Yes.
This is the joy of coming.
Yes. So
If you become better on yourself, you can make a lot of money, you can, a lot of material things you can do, which is not bad. I'm not against it. But if you become a better human being and go, that will be the biggest joy.
yes.
To change us is very difficult.
True.
And that is why we always try to change others in our surrounding. I am very irritable, so I want everybody to be quiet. Hardly anybody will say, let me work on my irritability.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
So all the solutions are within. We have to work within and help take every difficulty as an opportunity. Don't see things as trauma as just trauma. Understand it in its totality.
Yes.
And help the patient heal and become.
Thank you. It was wonderful, sir, and so insightful. I am pretty sure it will help a lot of people, also to people to just understand the self and get some idea that what they should be doing. Thank you so much for giving time and giving us
One line I thought, so I'll complete.
Yes.
Disease opposite of disease is ease.
Ease. Yes.
And you are easy within. That is what is health. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Best wishes to all of you.